Hi guys, it's Cal from Dirty Weasel. Welcome back to another edition of my series on Mod Organizer for Fallout New Vegas. In this video we will be reviewing and installing texture packs. We will start out with NMC's texture pack for Fallout New Vegas. Then we will move on to Ojo Bueno and Poco Bueno, and the special way they must be installed for Mod Organizer. Finally, we will briefly cover getting them to work together using the priority list and go over looking at texture conflicts. So let's go to the desktop and get started. Alright, so here we are at the desktop and we are ready to start with our first mod. And the first one we're going to be doing today is NMC's texture pack. Probably the most popular texture pack on the Nexus, and in my opinion one of the best. It has a lot of great features, and it has options for you to be able to, get the biggest ones for the best and prettiest pictures, and it also has the ability to go down in, medium size and small size, and has a few other options. But let's go ahead and go on to the Nexus and take a look at it. You can see here it is mod 43135, NMC's texture pack, done by Neil Mech, our NMC. And, it's been around for quite some time. It says most recent, probably added on 2011. Let's go through it and see what it does. It changed the vast majority of in-game graphics, and believe me, it does. You can see the screenshots. We'll go over that in just a few minutes. Does not retexture the DLC, and this is kind of an important point. When you play the DLC, just remember that it will use the default game textures where applicable. What does it change? And that's a very good question. It changes the roads, landscapes, trees, vehicles, buildings, interiors, and medium to large size objects, toolboxes, Nuka-Cola vendors, chairs, etc. And it doesn't change. It doesn't change the sky, water, small objects, clothing, NPCs, all this stuff. Weapons, we'll get into retextures of weapons much later, but foliage, grass, leaves, bushes, etc. How to install this mod? I'm just going to go show you how to do it with Mod Organizer. It's fairly easy. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Let's go to the pictures, and I'm going to kind of show you some before and after so you can see exactly what we're talking about. And let's do roads. Roads first. This will have both NMC's texture versus the default texture. Vastly different. So you can see the differences there. Try and find something iconic to everybody here. Let's go up and go to the next page. Let's see, the ever popular cars, car NMC textures versus the default texture. You can see it's very slick looking, doesn't look as decayed, and that's kind of an important point. So if you like a pretty picture, this is a good choice. Looking for one more default, kind of an iconic thing. If you have the Good Spring sign, let's just look at that. There's MMC's versus the default. See how much prettier that is. That looks great, doesn't it? And one more. So I don't quite see what the one I'm looking for here, but I want to show you one other thing, and this is what we're going to be talking about in just a second. There we go. The washed out wasteland. Washed waste, you can see right here, number 2. Let's go to this one. This is NMC's original versus the washed out wasteland. You can see in the original it has a more of a red tint, and in the washed out it doesn't. And I actually like the washed out a little better. It has less red, so you can kind of get an idea for that. Let's go to the next one, and you can see red versus more of a brown tone. I'm fine with that. I actually like that better. Length of distance. Washed out versus original. Just slightly more red. So it's the washed out is a little more with the original coloring of the game. So it's entirely up to you on how you want to do this. Let's go back to the files, and we will take a look at this a little more closely. Here's what you're looking at. In the main files, you have MMC's textures and the large pack 1 of 3. These are extremely large files. There's 3, each one's about a gig in size, and it's going to put a large performance hit on your game. We will be modding our game quite a bit in the future, and these may not be the best choice for your game, because once you start modding it up, it's going to put more and more and more load on your game. So if you're running just, a basic bare bones modding experience and you want the best textures possible, I would go ahead and try these and see what the performance hit on your computer is. If you don't have a top of the line computer, probably not a good choice. I would prefer, and this is the one I choose, is the medium pack. It's pretty much well balanced. It has a mixture of high quality and medium quality textures, and you're going to get that look that you want from your game using the textures in the medium pack. This is one of two, okay? So you're going to need to download with Manager on both of these. And of course, we have Mod Organizer open. You can just go ahead and search the Nexus network for more mods, put in MMC, and you'll get to that page. So download both of these, one of two and two of two, okay? If you really want the small single pack, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, single file for the lowest impact, but you're going to have, less quality. And we're trying to go for a medium, right in the middle build. I don't think any of the modern computers, because these were done in 2013, most of the modern computers, the modern video drivers will be able to handle it just fine. Video cards, the newest ones have come a long way. So these are fine, medium texture pack. Download both of these. And we're also going to get some patches. We're going to need patch number 2, ceiling, black holes fix, and clock retextures. Okay. And the redwood and burnt fence clash fix. Download both of these. Basically, the black holes and ceilings, it's a fix, and you're getting clock retexture in with that. So you need that one. And this is going to fix that color clash. It looked pretty bad without it. So go ahead and download that. And optional files, I'm going to ignore these. You can go through and read these basically on your own. 610 versus 16 by 10 and 16 by 9 ratio screens, 4 by 3. I don't think any of these are really relevant anymore. And here's the one I'm talking about, the washed out wasteland. If you get one of the large or medium texture files or packs, you'll need to get this one as well if you like that washed out look, less red. Okay, and it basically says alternative landscape with more washed out, less red landscape and rocks, more matching with the game's original coloration. If after trying out you prefer my original coloration of the landscape, simply reinstall the mod. I'll show you that. Okay, this is the small version. Okay, and if you really want a performance landscape, you can go and get that one. But I've downloaded all these, and remember guys, these are extremely large files, and you may have issues with them installing or downloading correctly into Mod Organizer the first or second time. I didn't have any problems, but I have a fairly stable internet connection, so just be patient, and if it shows that you have any errors, just re-download with Manager, and it will replace those for you, or delete it first. I've obviously gone through and done that ahead of time, and you can go over to Mod Organizer, and you can see the NMC's textured medium pack, part 1 of 2, medium pack texture part 2 of 2. Okay, we'll come to the fixes in just a second. But go ahead and double click to install this. And you can see MMC's texture pack for New Vegas. We're actually going to rename this because we're going to be adding a lot of different things to this. MMC's texture pack. Okay. Just shorten the name a little bit. Okay. Hit manual, and you're here with no game data on top. Set data directory. Textures looks good. Okay. The first one that we're going to do is just has textures. Hit OK. Okay, and these are coming up on the end here. These are quite large. You have to wait a while for them. So there you go. MMZ's texture pack. Go ahead and activate that just so you have it open and running. So, then you go on to part 2 of 2. Do basically the same thing. You see my change name is already saved into this NMC's texture pack. Make sure if you've changed your name, it matches with what's already there. Click manual. You're going to run into the same issue. Just set data directory, textures, and meshes this time. And it looks good. Hit OK. And see, this is what we want to come into. We don't want to replace it. We want to merge it. So just remember, you're merging these two texture packs together. So merge. And it's going to take us a while to do it again because it's another large one. We'll be back. Now let's go in and see what we have. We have the texture pack. Double click on it and go to the file tree. You see you have meshes and textures. So at Mod, we merge those whole things in together. Okay. So that's exactly what we want. There's no optional ESPs because this is a texture file. We don't have any ESPs on this. Now, I said I wanted the washed out wasteland, large and medium. Okay, alternative landscape. and I prefer that coloration. I just don't like as much red in it. That's just me. But you want to do the basic same thing. Double click, NMC's texture pack, manual, double check it. Here we go. Set directory, textures. Looks good. Hit OK. And we want to merge that again. Basically, not much to see here. It's just going to show meshes and textures. All that did was add in the extra files. We merged it. Hit close. Now comes the fixes. Okay, these are both fairly straightforward. Double click to install. NMC's texture pack, yes. Go through, set data directory, textures, looks good. Go ahead. Merge it again. We're merging all these things into one easy to do thing, and that was pretty quick. Same thing with this one. Manual. Textures already looks good. You don't need to repackage that. Okay, looks good. Merge. Done. All right. So that's basically it. Let's go and look at the plugins here. You can see there was no ESPs into that. Okay. But one of the things we will look at is go to the data, and we'll go down, and we're going to look at textures. Okay. This is a good way to get an idea as far as what we just did. And we can go, let's just look at architecture. Go to Good Springs, let's just do that. Now you can see in the data we have all these new textures. If you want to highlight it, right click it, and preview, you can see with the textures. And this is what it, that file is done. That's not so important now. That's just to give you an idea what that's doing. When we come in later, we'll kind of show you a little bit more about why that's important. Okay, plugins, nothing to do. Texture packs, I always put near the top because, let's see, I want it right about there. Okay, I want anything after this to overwrite this. I just want this up here by itself. It's not going to change much. So let's actually go into the game and take a look at what we've done. Okay, one of the first things you'll notice is that the splash/menu screen is very different. Now has the NMC's texture pack already in there. And it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and load one in, and I will find one that's daylight. Let's do that one. Load this game. Yes, I know. Alright, so let's go take a look at it around. You can see the road textures are different. Kind of more like Broken Road. I actually like it now. There's the Prospector sign, the iconic Prospector Saloon Gaming Parlor. That's been changed, and you can see overall, I mean, the textures are much better. Let's go over and take a look at the water tank has been changed. And let's, it's kind of hard to see unless you go look at different things. But the truck looks different. The saloon and the Good Springs General Store looks pretty different. Overall, it's the little things. It's the way the carts look. It's the way the fence posts look. It looks a lot better. The houses look much different. Doc Mitchell's house, obviously, the stop sign. Whoop, let's back up. Stop sign, different. Looks really good. I like it a lot. Doc Mitchell's house kind of has that old milk wash look to it, right? I actually like it a lot. So you can see everything worked. All the textures are in, and you can see it doesn't have as much of a red tint to it, which I like. I don't like as much of the red. You can imagine what it'd be like to be in Red Rock Canyon with a lot of red in it. I actually like this a lot. It's a nice day. This is Project Reality, clouds and lighting, so it looks pretty good. I actually like this a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit and go back to our desktop, but that's how it looks. I think it looks fabulous. Alright, and we're back to our desktop here. NMC's texture pack is a great mod and adds a lot of, nice textures, and it is a lot of work, and that's why the files are so big. But like I said, I recommend using the medium texture pack for this, and because we're going to be doing a lot more heavy load intensive stuff to your game, and we don't want to overload it. So there's that. I'm going to clean up my desktop and get ready for the next mod, the next texture pack to show you. So we'll be back in a second. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is Ojo Bueno Texture Workshop and the Poco Bueno texture pack. And the main difference between the two of them is Ojo Bueno has many more options, individual files that you can download, and to much higher quality. Poco Bueno is a lot lighter on the system, and the file sizes all combined are less than all combined on the Ojo Bueno. Does that make sense? I hope so. But installing them for Mod Organizer is a little bit different, so we'll have to go through this. But let's pull them up on the Nexus and take a look at them. And first up, we have Ojo Bueno High Quality Texture Workshop by Ojo Bueno, and mod number 39755. And you can see it was added in 2011, and you come down and you take a look at it. It's going to have a bunch of different stuff here, and it's going to current texture pack releases, Objects Architecture, Architecture 2 with Novak Hotel. It's just Novak Hotel. So architecture does not include Novak. This one does. Auto bodies, environmental, rugged roadways, sidewalks, and Securitron. There are two different versions in almost all of them. There's ultra high quality and high quality versions. Which one do you decide to use? If you're using just Ojo Bueno, I would suggest going and trying the ultra high quality and see what you go with, and if they're a little too much for your system, go drop down to the high quality versions. Installation. I'm going to go through this with you, and it's going to be different. I'll just leave it at that. Different, okay? If you want a little preview of what these are, let's go to the images real fast. And what I find about Ojo Bueno is that his style is much more, how can I say this? It's much more rustic and worn. It looks like decay is set in general of the whole place. They're generally good ones. That's the Sunset Sarsaparilla machine. It looks great. It's good. But they are different styles, and you'll have to just kind of decide which ones you want. I'm going to go through these real fast. And, you can see just on the architecture, you can see how it looks much more old, decayed, and it's kind of drab. But I'm going to jump forward a bit. And I'm going to show you, where's page 8? Oh, there we go. Vicky and Vance car. Remember I showed you the picture for Vicky and Vance's car in NMC's texture pack? Well, there's an example of what it looks like according to Ojo Bueno. So it's just different. It's a different style. You can see much more rusted, not as sleek. Okay, that's that. I couldn't find a roadway one, but you can get rocks, and that's kind of what the rocks look like. I think the rocks are pretty good overall. But there you go. Let's go back to files. That's just a taste of it. We'll jump into the game real fast and let you look at it. What you have here is a bunch of all download manually files. And you're going to have Ojo Bueno objects. Those are detailed objects and containers found throughout the Mojave. Architecture, this is all your buildings. Bueno Architecture 2, Novak Hotel. This is just Novak Motel. Okay. Environmental, these are your rocks, trees, that sort of thing. Auto bodies, this basically adds a lot of variety to the auto bodies throughout. So he's gone through and individually identified them and given a lot more definition and variety to the different things. Roadways is to give the textures to the roadways, a Securitron, and sidewalks. I'm just going to show you some base examples. If you wanted to go through and download all these, the system that I'm going to show you is basically the same. It's kind of frustrating that you have to download all these, but that's just if you want Ojo Bueno, you go through the system. You could try merging them all, but I find that even more frustrating than doing it this way. You can go ahead and get all these. And the one thing you do need to have is the skeleton fix. No matter what packages you decide to go on, if you just want objects, architecture, and environmental, you'll need the skeleton transparency fix. Okay? So, what I've gone through, let's go ahead and, go look at what I've got. I've downloaded a bunch of them. And we'll just go ahead and do this. So, architecture, right? You open this up. And what you're going to be presented with is a number of faux mods inside. If you wanted to try and download these, let's just do an experiment. Open up mod organizer, excuse me, and go to your downloads. If you want to just try and install this from your desktop, from an external archive, you open that up, there isn't any way to fix this. So you need two files. You could, let's see, if you had base and normals, that and that and that. There's no way to set game data on top. You have two faux mods in that WinZip file, or the WinRAR file. There isn't a way to set the individual architecture for, or individual game data for two faux mods within the same file. So that's why it doesn't quite work that way. We're just going to cancel that out. So this is the best way, and Essarrbee kind of describes this briefly for Poco Bueno, but we're going to show this to you. You open this up, and you can go through the readmes, but basically I'm going to tell you kind of the highlights and what you need to know. For each of these mods, you'll have a high quality base and normals, and an ultra high quality base and normals. You're going to need one of each base and normals. In this case, you need to have high quality base, high quality normals. Okay? Or you can have high quality, ultra high quality base and ultra high quality normals together. Okay? I'm just going to go through and pull out these, set them aside. Okay? Now we have two files, architecture base, architecture normals faux mod. Just set them aside. We'll come back to them. And as we go through this, I will, kind of point out the important stuff. Architecture is done. Objects. Same thing. High quality base, high quality normals. Ultra high quality base, ultra high quality normals. I want you to pull out whatever you choose. I'm going to choose both of these. High quality base, high quality normals. Pull them out and set them aside. We're going to be doing this for basically all of them. And there's just a few changes as far as environmental pack. There's only one to pull out. Just pull it out and set it aside. I know this seems really frustrating to have to do it this way, but it's what it is. Ojo Bueno roadways. If you read the README, it'll tell you to choose one of the four. There isn't a high quality base, high quality normal. There's just heavy high quality, heavy ultra high quality, medium high quality, and medium ultra high quality. If you ever want to see the images, okay, you have heavy and medium. Let's just look at the medium. Okay, there's medium, and there's heavy. Okay, there you go. And basically damage level. Go back. We're just going to choose the medium high quality. Pull it out, set it aside. There it goes. Sorry guys, for whatever reason it was getting lost in the ether. I don't know what happened there. So anyways, I'm back. So roadways is done, and then finally the skeleton fix. Pull it out, set it aside. Okay, there it goes. Now, what you'll do with these is you're actually going to put them into your mod organizer download section. If you ever want to see where your downloads all go, I want you to pull this up, and you're going to look under, let's just pull this up, open this up this way. In your download directory, right here under your settings, I have mine on my D drive, Mod Organizer Fallout New Vegas downloads. You may have it someplace else. Wherever you put it is where we're going to open it up. Just show you that. We're now going to go look for my D drive, Mod Organizer Fallout New Vegas downloads. And you can see this is all my Fallout New Vegas downloads. All right? I want you to just go ahead and grab all these and drag them in. Now they're all in your Fallout New Vegas downloads. Now, when you open Mod Organizer into your Downloads tab, you now have all this stuff in here. So what you'll need to do is actually install all of these faux mods individually. There isn't a real good way to install all. You just have to double click, and I'm going to select, let's just call it Ojo, just for S and giggle's sake. Let's just call it Ojo. Hit manual, and this is what we're talking about. Since it couldn't figure out what it had to do if you opened up two of them at the same time, set directory, set data, now textures is correct. Now I want you to just go ahead and go through and do the same thing. It doesn't really matter the order because it's all going to go in the same place. Double click on the environmental. Ojo, sure, that's what I've named it. Hit manual. And we want data level on top. Set data directory, meshes and textures, looks good. Okay. And you hit merge, not replace, merge for all of these things. Now I'm going to go through, I'll be back once I've done doing this, but this is kind of how you do it. Since, I explained that before, double click. You don't want rugged roads. Okay? Since it's going to try and name it its own thing, you got to watch these things. Ojo. Ojo. Manual. Set data directory. Set data directory. Textures. Looks good. Go ahead. Merge. So that's just what, you have to do with this to make it work. There's other ways of merging all these things together, but I find them really annoying. So it takes longer to do it the other way. Besides, you can't go back and, because you've put them in your download file, you could get rid of this altogether and come back and take out parts you don't want. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back, and we'll activate it, and then we'll go in game and show what we got. Okay, we're back. You can see I've installed all these into a single file I call Ojo. Okay, we're going to activate that. And I just want to take a look at it here. And there's not much to look at. Just like the other texture mod NMCs, you're not going to have a whole lot here. You've got file tree, and basically it's just meshes and textures with the meta.ini. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I'm going to put it basically the same kind of general location as MMCs. You can see I have MMCs texture pack disabled. So when we go into game, which we're going to do right now, and take a look at it, you'll see the difference between the two. Let's go into game. So here we are in game. This is Poco Bueno, and you can see the roads look different. The Prospector Saloon sign has not been changed, because that is only applicable to MMC. Well, stuff like the water tower or the water tank is different. It's got the name and the face on it. The buildings look a lot different. I think the drabness of it is just a different style. I think the individual textures look really nice. Look at that. The quality is very, very good with Ojo Bueno. But you can see, let's just kind of look at the same type of stuff. Go look at the stop sign. See how it kind of looks a lot more aged and decayed? That's just a thing about Ojo Bueno. It's his style, and that's fine. The truck, the same thing. It doesn't look as new, and that's okay. I imagine if it was a couple hundred years after the apocalypse, that's what it looked like. Doc Mitchell's house, no longer blue. It's just all kind of weathered wood, right? So, but that, it's a good texture mod. It's different. It's not for everyone, but I think it's a good one overall. If you like the style, I'm gonna have a hard time getting up my rock here. Let me get. Oh, there we go. But it's good overall. I think it's just a different style of the game. So there you go. I want you to take a look at that. That was a lot of work to do that. You can go ahead and just get rid of all of these. You just put them all in the recycle bin. Okay, same with these. You've now put them in the download file, so you don't need them anymore. Clean that up. Same thing with that. Goodbye. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. What I prefer doing, and this is just me, I like running NMC with Poco Bueno. And let's go take a look at that real fast. Poco Bueno is the smaller of the two versions, and it's mod number 42028, done by the same author. And it is a much smaller pack. It has 575 textures, but they are generally lower in quality and don't have as much impact on your system. And because we're using NMC, and that's the way I'm going to be doing it, is MMC as the primary, Poco Bueno will fill in some gaps. And that's all it's going to be doing. You can go and look at the pictures, but it's going to look basically the same. It's just slightly lower quality. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Go to Files. And you have a couple different things here. You have the Poco Bueno texture pack. Don't download with Manager on that. That's, you're going to download it manually. The Poco Bueno High Res GS Tank. Okay, you can raise the texture quality to the newest one. That's the one with the face on the end. The Poco Bueno Heavy Damage Roads. We don't need that because we're going to let MMC handle that. And then the Poco Bueno Skeleton Transparency Fix. You do need this, okay? If you're doing what I'm doing, and that's with MMC as the primary, the only two things you want to have is the Poco Bueno Texture Pack version 5, download that manually, and the Poco Bueno Skeleton Transparency Fix, download that manually. All right, that's kind of the basics of that. Okay, we're going to go take a look at that. When you get Poco Bueno, you open that up, you're going to see basically the same sort of situation, but there's only one foam mod. So, there's no pictures in this one, but you get the idea. You can read the README, and it'll basically tell you all this stuff. But this is kind of how it is. So, pull that out, set it aside. And then in the Poco Bueno Transparency Fix, and do that. Now, the reason why I have the Transparency Fix on both is I'm going to be going through and not using Ojo Bueno. I'm just going to unclick it and remove mod. And I'm going to go through and delete all of these because I don't need it. I'm going to assume this is, as if this were a new install of Poco Bueno. Now that we've pulled those faux mods out, you can go ahead and set this aside. Okay, so now that we have those pulled out, we can go ahead into the same file we had our downloads on. Right, so you can see I removed all the Ojo Bueno stuff. Take both of those, drop them in. Boom, just like that. Okay, now you can close that down. And now we have Poco Bueno and the Poco Human Skeleton Fix foam mod. All right, there you go. So it's basically the same sort of thing. You double click to install Poco Bueno, and that's a fine name, Poco Bueno version 5. I'm fine with that. Hit manual, and you'll go ahead and set data directory, and meshes and textures. Hit OK. Just activate that for shits and giggles. I know. And it's going to want it to be renamed because it doesn't have the same thing. So now it's matching that Poco Bueno. The Human Skeleton Fix wants to just call it Poco. So make sure it's always named the same as what you have already. Okay, click manual. And you have Poco Bueno. You want to go ahead and set your directory. Do it again. Now textures. Looks okay. And you want to merge that. Merge that in. It looks good. Meshes and textures. Good. Okay. So what do you do with this? Okay, now you have a much smaller texture pack, and we want to run NMCs. And this is going to be counterintuitive. I want you to move this up and put it above MMC's texture pack. And what this is telling you is that it's going to load first Poco Bueno, and then it's going to load MMC's texture pack. So this is much smaller, and it's just going to have a few things that NMC does not have. Okay? Now that we have those both activated, we can go ahead and go to the data file, or we did this before, and you can come down to your textures. Where's our textures? There it is. Boom. And we can now look at our different things. We can look at architecture, and we'll go down to, where's Goodsprings? There's Goodsprings, right there. You're presented with a few things, and whenever you see something in black, that means it's by itself. Whenever you see something in red, it means that there's actually two textures that are conflicting with each other. So in this case, let's open this up a little more, you can see. GS Goodsprings Home Wood Mess, it's Poco Bueno only. Down here, Goodsprings Saloon Sign, NMC's only. Okay. Saloon sign, MMC only. Right? If you want to see this and, just like I showed you before, preview, okay, that's what the wood does. Good Spring signs, okay, Prospector Saloon, that's what that is. All right, now here's where it gets interesting. You have preview, you have a conflict here, and you have two. You've probably seen this before. This is the wood, and this is provided by NMC's texture pack. Up here, these two arrows. If you go back, that's what Poco Buenos look like. Right? So you can actually see your conflicts. Right? You can actually go through and look at what all these different things are and get an idea of what they all look like. It's a feature. I don't think it's all that important. Here's, Nipton Town Hall, preview that, and this is what MMC's wood looks like, and that's what Poco Buenos looks like. Right? And that's just an informative thing. All right? If we just close this down, and if we switch these around, and now you have NMCs being overwritten by Poco Bueno, you go back to your data, and you open your textures, you go to architecture, and we go back to Good Springs. You're going to see it's primarily Poco Bueno. NMC's texture pack is secondary. It's filling in the gaps. That's just a guide. It's a helpful guide, but that's kind of how it works. So in my case, I want NMC to be the primary, and I want it to override everything Poco Bueno does. I just want Poco Bueno to fill in a few gaps that MMC doesn't have. That's kind of how that looks, or how that works. But like I said, no plugins, no ESPs. This is just at the top, and you're going to decide which ones you want to have as the primary. Right? So, that's kind of how that works. So that's really all there is to it. To combine NMC and Poco Bueno, you just kind of have to pick and choose. And you could do the same thing with NMC and Ojo Bueno and just choose the priority list and put whatever you want to be on the primary and the secondary. So you can merge them together. You could do that. Textures is one of those things that really changed the game dramatically, and I wanted to get it out there. I don't know what we're going to be doing next. I haven't decided. We'll have to see, and I'm going to keep my schedule open and see where we go to next. I'm really anxious to do guns, but we'll try and decide that later. So I hope this video was helpful and you found it enjoyable. My name is Cal. I'm from Nerdy Weasel, and I'm signing off.